Hey, and welcome back. In today's video, I wanted to talk about a company and a few products that I've been relying on for probably 6 to 8 years now, and that is Roots EQ. If you've watched my channel, you've probably seen a dozen or more different muffling products, and I wouldn't say I'm a connoisseur of muffling products, but I'm always intrigued by the different options out there in the market. Obviously, when I was a kid growing up, the main two things were moon gels or the O-rings you would get from drumhead manufacturers. Over the years, that has evolved, and we have things like the snare weight, drum tortillas, big fat snare drum, and all sorts of different ways for muffling and controlling and dialing in the EQ of your various drums across the set. I do a lot of performing and a lot of recording, and I rely on these in both applications a lot. For me, one of the ones that I've really enjoyed over the last few years, both with gigging and in the studio, is the Roots EQ. Now, this is a small company that I believe is really just two people as far as design, execution, and even a lot of the distribution. The first is Adam Topol, and what's really cool about him is in addition to being an entrepreneur with this, he's an active touring and recording drummer with Jack Johnson. Now, the other half of Roots EQ is Matthew Smith, and he's someone that I wasn't as familiar with, but checking out the various work he does, it seems like maybe he's more of the industrial and construction side of this, because in addition to creating these products, he also creates a lot of world percussion instruments like hand drums and cowbells and various other instruments in that field. They offer two main products, and I have both of them here to show you today. The first is this right here. They're kind of O-ring substitute. Now, these are a similar concept to what you might buy from like Evans or Remo, although they're a lot more expensive. I've used those zero rings over the years from the drumhead companies, which are just a mylar material cut in a ring. And while those are very affordable, usually like $10 for an entire set, they do seem a little bit vulnerable to bending, breaking, and once you've done that, they're pretty much useless and more of a frustration to try and use. What I like about these is they're made of a fabric material, and they have this aluminum or metal ring around it to help keep the shape rigid. Now, also, when I set one of these on a drum, they're a lot heavier than the normal zero rings, which are just a thin plastic material, and with mass comes more dampening effect. So for me, what I notice is that they really make a more drastic impact on drums like the toms. On the snare drum, I don't notice it as much, but it just dials it in just enough. Over the years, I've bought a variety of different sizes. I have 10, 12, 13, 14, 16. I have an extra set that I keep in my cymbal bag with my louder cymbals that I use for my pop and rock gigs. And these are pretty much a mainstay for any time I'm playing louder music, or probably like 90% of the time I'm recording pop drums. Now, if I have one gripe with these products so far after using them for the last 5 or 6 years, is that this 10-inch one here has the same 1 inch or so perimeter as the 12, the 14, the 16, etc., etc. So that means on a smaller drum, I'm getting a lot more dampening effect than on a big 16-inch floor tom. I believe they do offer a version of this that is a little bit thinner, so that's pretty cool. But I can also understand why a small company of what I believe is 2 people can't offer a whole bunch of different variations on each diameter ring. Now, these are probably my favorite to use, and you may notice that I actually wrote the number on each one because I have so many. That just helps me keep them organized when I'm trying to grab the ones I need for whatever drums I'm working on. But I'm just gonna play the toms regularly first and then throw these rings on and let you hear how that sounds. I've noticed this 14-inch one seems to kind of like lip upwards, so if I turn it upside down, even a little bit more focused sound. I think it really just cuts off the tiniest amount of that ring, but a little more than those plastic E-rings. This works well for me. You're hearing it just through an overhead mic, I didn't want to put close mics on these drums because I thought this would give the best picture of how you would hear it acoustically. So let me go ahead and take these off, and now we're going to check out the other product they offer. Okay, so this is their solid ring option, and this is very much in the spirit of like the tea towel effect you would hear on like Ringo Starr's Come Together, or a lot of today's indie music, which has a very dry, tubby, dead drum sound. This is the same sort of construction of a metal ring on the outside, and then we have this little stitching here about 1 inch in, just like the O-rings, and my guess is that is kind of the overlap or this material underneath. And then we have a bandana-like material here covering the entire surface of the head. If this isn't your vibe, aesthetic-wise, they do offer it in white as well. I just thought this was kind of fun and unique. So let me play these drums without the heads one more time, and then I'll throw these on and let you hear them. Okay, so much drier, dead tone. What I like about these compared to some of the other ones on the market, like drum tortillas or the big fat snare drum quesadilla cloths, this bandana material is really thin, so it lets a little bit of tone come through, whereas when I use drum tortillas or the other cloths, I lose a ton of volume because the material is just a little bit thicker. I wouldn't say one is better than the other, but it's about what fits each application. To me, if I was trying to do something live, this might be a better fit than the cloths because they cut out too much volume. But if I was playing in a wine bar and needed to be extra quiet, that's maybe a better option. In the studio, it's a little more subjective and more of a tonal thing because I can mix it however I want later. So I've gone through the toms and showed you both products and compared it to the natural open sound. Now let's do that with the snare quick. So definitely noticeable on this drum, although when it comes to this specific snare here, my Ludwig Superphonic, I'd be lying if I said I didn't mostly rely on the internal muffler built in. For me, I like having a variety of options, so these products in the mix of all the other great muffling products I have are really nice to have at my disposal and to choose from for each specific drum, each specific genre and tuning I'm going for, and the application, of course. Now, where can you find these? Because it's a small company, I have a feeling they don't get a chance to replenish stock on a regular basis. Like I was saying, one of the people in this company is an active touring and performing musician, so I'm sure that kind of limits their production. But what I love about it is every time I've bought them, I get to support a local drum shop. I've bought directly from Roots EQ before, but in the past I've bought them from Drum Supply in Nashville, Badger's Drum Shop in Cincinnati, Chicago Music Exchange, and they're available at Revival Drum Shop and various other drum shops around the country. Before closing out this video, I just want to put in a few more playing clips a little bit more extensively beyond hitting the drums one at a time. Totally useful sounds, great product. Check them out. If you already use these, leave a comment down below and let me know. And until next time, thanks.